The layout of the Inception film magazine is very traditional in the fact that it has kind of the masthead at the top, centrally framed, and the main image is below it. Also, like the main image, the head of the main actor is like overlapping the title, which is a commonly used in these magazines. Also, that the cell lines are around the main image, and there's a banner at the top as well. These are all very traditional layouts of a magazine, but also the text kind of goes down the body of the main character. This kind of like brings the attention to him. I've not really seen this before in many of the magazines, and I think this might be done because obviously the main character on the front of this magazine is like heavily featured in the film. So the thought that if they put kind of the text going down his body, it kind of brings the attention more to him, as well as kind of focusing on the other features of the magazine. The main image of the magazine is the main character of the film, which is Features. He's kind of framed centrally, and he's shown as quite a domineering actor because he's kind of like right there in the front of it. Also, he's a big A-list actor which everybody knows about. He's done a lot of films before. Everyone knows him by his name and his face. So obviously the film and the magazine itself has worked together to kind of play on this and use it as one of their strengths. Because people kind of think, oh, if there's a film with Leonardo DiCaprio in it, that's why they might go and see it, just because it's got him in it. So they played on that and kind of used him as the main feature of the magazine. Um, he's very well known, obviously, so if people see this magazine with his face on it, then they'll think, oh yeah, straight away I'll buy that. Rather than using someone else out of the film who nobody really knows, because then people won't kind of realise that that's what film it is, and it's kind of putting it in a grey area. Whereas keeping Leonardo DiCaprio as the main person kind of uplifts the film and gives it one central face, where as soon as you see his face, you know it's that film. The composition like of the main image shows like a very dominating, in control, important person. Obviously, when he's got his suit on and everything like that, makes him come across very important, kind of well up and high paid, things like that. Also, because of the dark lighting around him, it creates a sense of that the film is quite dark. Also, with the shadow on his face, kind of shows half dark, half light, which kind of could come across as the film having two sides to it, which is exactly what it is, because the film itself is kind of about in real life, and then it skips from real life to in a dream kind of thing. So this shadow along his face kind of reflects that there's two sides of things to the story as well as him as a character. The fonts on the front of the magazine are very different in the sense that normally the masthead is very bold, it's a very simple font, it's got no complications to it, it's straight there in your face and you can read it perfectly fine. Whereas this magazine kind of shows the magazine is called Total Film, but the main word is kind of film, so that takes up the whole width of the page, and rather than it standing out, say, in like a solid red or a solid black colour, they've kind of integrated it with the background image, and kind of they've put like a city street effect on it, so that the word film actually has the picture in it of a city street. This kind of reflects about what the film is about, the fact that it's in like a city, it's in like a busy place. Um, Also, like there's bold fonts used for the banners, which is very stereotypical thing. Obviously, because they want it to stand out. This is used like on most magazines. On here, obviously, it's being used where it says the mind blowing issue, kind of makes it stand out and really gives effect on the word mind blowing, giving the sense that it's like something new, something what nobody's ever seen before. For the other cell lines, there's a lot. It's quite kind of a squished font together. It's not very standy out, bold font, which makes it like bring you straight to your attention. You kind of have to look at the cover a little bit to realise there's more cell lines next to the main actor on the right side. You don't kind of see them at first. This is probably done because they're not that important, although they still kind of have to advertise the fact that they've got other things in the magazine. They're very heavily playing on the main issue of Inception being the main thing on the magazine, but obviously as they're trying to advertise other things as well, they still have to put other cell lines in. But this font is, like I say, very simple and squashed together to kind of bring down its importance to say that it's not as important as the main issue on the magazine. Also, the main title, Inception, is in a very bold and very structured font. It's not very smooth, where some magazines do have it very smooth and sleek, where this isn't. It's very bold and structured. And this could kind of play on what the movie's about, show that it's a very serious movie. It's about something that people take very seriously, rather than it being like a sleek, fancy font, where this one isn't. It's very, like I say, very structured. The colours used in the magazine, it's quite unusual. Normally on a magazine it has a very simple either white or black background with other main colours like say a red or a yellow or a blue, where this one doesn't. It kind of has a blue shadowy background all the way down it, which kind of acts as a blank page, and then it has the main bits of text highlighted in red. Some of it's in blue, which may kind of be that it's blending into the background, that it's less important. Also, there's a majority of it is white, kind of makes it stand out a little bit, but not as much as the red. So obviously the most important things, such as the masthead where it's got mind-blowing issue, that's obviously very important, that's why that's in red. Also, the two colours work together to kind of give a sense of the blue suggests that it's very cold, and the red suggests danger. So these two working together could suggest that it's quite a mysterious film. It could have a different meaning to what people think it does. The costume the character wears in the main image of the magazine cover suggests that he is highly important because of the suit he is wearing. That kind of suggests that he's very like high up and he earns a lot of money. Also, he's very smart because generally people who have well-paid jobs are very kind of intellectual. So then he kind of to match that. Also, with him wearing just plain black and white, kind of suggests he's very yes or no, not in the middle. He's very out there, and that's it. The prop used in the magazine cover is the only one I can seem to see is a gun, which gives an insight into the genre that it may be action. But with the colours used and the low key lighting, it suggests that it could be an action thriller, as well as the blue kind and the city scene in the background gives it a kind of futuristic look, which could also give an insight into the type of genre it may be. On the magazine, there's a red plus sign used on the right hand side of it. This is used to make the reader feel as if they're gaining even more from the magazine and they're getting more than they would expect, which kind of make them inclined to kind of buy the magazine. Underneath the main caption of Inception, it says the 27 most mind-blowing movies ever. This is a superlative used to make it seem like the articles are exciting and the magazine is the best it could ever be. Also, it's got some red writing down the left hand side near the bottom of the magazine. This is like a rule of three, which is used to make the article easier to read. Also, when it says first looks on this bottom part of the left hand side, it makes the audience feel as if it's part of a kind of an exclusive club, which they might want to be in to kind of gain exclusive offers and information about films which they're interested in. Also, when it says inside the ultimate head trip, this creates the impression that the audience and that feel that they are getting an exclusive look at what's in the magazine, something which everybody else won't know about, so they might want to know this inside information and kind of be inclined to buy the magazine because of this. Also, when it says on the bubble, this is used to show that the magazine has more to offer than you think, making it seem like it's good value for money, which can, again, they're all kind of marketing techniques to so people will think that they're getting more for the money, or they're getting more than they would normally get in any other magazine, so they'll be more inclined to buy it. Also, at the top of the magazine, where the masthead, above the masthead where the banner is, it says mind blowing, and this makes the audience feel that they can't miss the issue and they kind of must have to buy this one because this is kind of either a limited edition one or it's got some information in it which they can't miss out on. The page layout for the total film magazine with Shutter Round on the cover is very similar to the one with Inception on the cover, in the sense that the total film title is again placed at the top of the magazine. The film word takes over the full of the width of the page, It has the cell lines all down the side on the right hand side, and it's masted at the top. However, on the Inception one, it's kind of got the main cell lines down the body of the main character, as well as the majority of them being on the right, where only one or two being on the left. Where on this one, it's kind of the opposite. There's hardly any text overlapping onto the main actor's body. The majority of the cell lines are on the left, which is a typical convention of all magazines, and then there's only one main story on the right of the magazine. Also, the main image is similar to the one which is on based on Inception, in the sense that the main character is framed in the middle of the page, and his head and shoulders kind of overlap on the word film. The main image of the magazine again features the main character of the film Shutter Island, which is similar to the Inception magazine cover. It may be a kind of common theme of this actor to play similar roles, but this kind of comes through with how he is pictured in both the magazines. In both of them, he's kind of wearing a suit. In the Inception one, it's a more smart suit, but in this one, he still is dressed up, but kind of got like a long trench coat on, like maybe suggesting that he's kind of investigating something. He's centered in the middle, and also he's got quite dark clothes on. Like I said, he's wearing a suit, but not as smart. It still kind of comes across as him being a dominating actor. He's kind of the main person in the film, although in the trailer he isn't featured as heavily. He still comes across as the main person. Also, the same about the Inception magazine. Leonardo DiCaprio is like a main A-list actor, so if he's featured heavily on within like a film's marketing package, then people will be more like inclined to go and see his film if it's got him in it, if they kind of like him as an actor. So like before, the magazines kind of played this to the strength and used him in the photo shoot to be the main prominent actor of the film, because if they used an actor who nobody knew out the film, then there would be no point, because people wouldn't be able to recognise it, and there isn't that kind of iconography for them to say, yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio is in Shutter Island. Also, the composition of the photo, there is kind of like a blue smoke like coming from behind him, which suggests a kind of mysterious, investigative kind of thing, with him having like the long trench coat on, suggesting that he's investigating something, coupled with this kind of smoke coming from behind him. It kind of gives a mysterious sense towards it, which kind of does feature in the film, because in the trailer you can tell that he's kind of looking for something on the island, so he is kind of investigating it. Also, the lighting is kind of quite dark on his face, and again it's kind of showing half of it light and half of it darker, but not as much as it does on the Inception one. It's very kind of a grayscale dark lighting, but not as much as it does on the other one. I think this is because it's still quite a dark film, and it's got kind of more about paranormal going on rather than action. So they're kind of still trying to keep it dark and make it obvious to people what the genre is, that it's not kind of a happy film. Also, again, with the shadows on his face, kind of gives the sense that he's quite of a dark character. He doesn't really show a sense of happiness kind of thing, which is obviously essential with him playing the role of kind of an investigative person in this film. But also with it being like a paranormal activity kind of film, then this dark lighting's kind of needed, so that people it like kind of comes across to people as it not being like a happy film, and they know it's a dark, serious genre. The fonts used on the Shutter Island magazine cover differ quite a lot from the other magazine cover. But kind of, again, the total film masthead is still like very big and prominent, but it's different to the other one in that it has used the traditional code and kind of gone with a thick white bold title, rather than it blending in like it did on the other one. This kind of like brings it out and people know it's called Total Film, where before in the other magazine you couldn't see the total, you only just thought it was about a film. Also, in the other magazine they kind of had a lot of very simple, close together, white, plain, boring fonts, where in this one they kind of mixed it up a bit and done a bit different. At the top where the banner is, it says "Greatest Movie Art Ever." This kind of is a very like a mysterious horror type of font because it is red, which obviously connotes a bit of like blood, horror, things like that. But also the type of font it is, it's kind of blurred on the edge as if it's kind of a blood smeared. And also this font is used on the Shutter Island, obviously because this is also like a paranormal thriller. So obviously there's going to be something about blood, killing, a bit of gore maybe. So with like this used like the red where it's kind of smeared out of the line of the out of the font, it again like connotes a type of messiness and bloodshed within the film. This is quite obvious to us because of the font, so it kind of gives the audience an insight into what the film could be about. Also, above the Shutter Island writing, it's got another one that says Leo takes over the asylum. It's quite like a funky writing. It's not very plain and simple as you would think it would be. Um, and also, like at the bottom of the magazine cover, it's got some writing about the Transformers and the Prince of Persia. This is all like in very different writing for each film. Some of it is very simple, like say the Transformers 3 and the Prince of Persia, but where it says Iron Man 2 and Whip It, you can't quite read it very well, obviously unless it was close up. All of these like different fonts used kind of gives a sense of that they're all different genres of film, and this magazine represents lots of different types of films, more than just like the action type ones that it shows on the front of it. Also, like on the right hand side, it's got a little column about Avatar, and it's got some writing underneath the picture, but I can't quite read what it says. But it's like it's clearly not a simple a font, which is kind of it's not very simple because obviously I can't read it, but it should be simple so the audience would be able to read it clearly. I think the fonts on this magazine are very good. It's very there's not one kind of font that jumps out at me, and then then not simple ones around it. That's what normally is kind of used, and that works in a lot of magazines because that one font that jumps out at you is normally like the primary one, and then the other ones that are used kind of secondary to that, and they're kind of very simple and plain, so people can read them easily, and so the contrast against the very fancy one or the colours used on this magazine cover is very actually quite similar to the other one that they've used. It might be a kind of theme what they use with this type of film to use the kind of the blue background with the red writing. But it comes across to me that it's kind of a theme that they use with this actor, because maybe the actor Leonardo DiCaprio features heavily in their magazine because of the type of work he does. So it may be the fact that they use this blue and red colours to signify like his own front cover. So when he features in a film and they use him as the front cover, they'll use those colours so the audience will automatically know it's him. This is quite like an icon thing what they might do. But also, again, it's similar. Both of these magazines are quite similar in the fact that they both have like the blue mysterious background to it, and obviously this one, which the Shutter Island one, has this blue smoke in the background, and then they have the red writing at the top, and then obviously down the side where all the cell lines are. And again, it's kind of the blue is connoting a kind of mysterious coupled with like the smoke, and it's coming across as like a cold colour. So maybe it's showing like that it's a very dark and cold film, but also the red obviously connotes a bit of murder and horror. So then that coupled with the blue could come across it's a very like horrific movie with a lot of cold blood murder kind of thing to it. Um, Also, it could also come across as it being quite mysterious. The costume of the main character on the main image is quite similar to the one of Inception in the fact that they're both wearing a type of suit, whereas the one in Inception kind of shows him in a more smart suit, and this one's a bit more dressed down as if it's like he's going to work. Also, he's got like a long trench coat on, which kind of connotes a sense of him being like an investigator. So this could kind of give the audience an insight into who he is in the film and what type of role he plays. Again, similar to the Inception magazine cover, the only props I can seem to see is a gun in his hand. This seems to be more of like a handgun, whereas in the one in Inception it seemed to be like a larger one. This could like kind of be the type of film it is. Shutter Island could be more of like a lower scale, where Inception seems to be on such a bigger scale, so obviously bigger guns are needed. But yeah, the type of gun kind of suggests that it's very like action based in this film. But also we kind of like obviously come to know from watching the trailer that it's not that much of an action. It's kind of more paranormal. So obviously he thinks he must be going in to solve some type of like murder or something like that. Expecting to find like a killer, where he isn't. He actually ends up finding something to do with the paranormal, which obviously this will become evident as people either begin to watch the trailer or watch the film. The language used on this magazine cover seems to be very typical of what you would normally see. For example, like buzzwords such as like plus, greatest movie art ever are in this kind of red enlarged font. But also it's got certain words such as like top filmmakers. If this kind of is shown on a magazine cover, then people kind of look at it and think, oh, I wonder who these top filmmakers are. It'll kind of intrigue them into buying this magazine. Also, above the main title of Shutter Island, it's got DiCaprio exclusive, and then underneath that it says Leo takes over the asylum. So obviously, when it's saying DiCaprio exclusive, it's using the main actor's last name. This kind of gives it a kind of sense of personal touch, as people will kind of take to it as if they are getting to know Leonardo DiCaprio personally, and obviously, as mentioned before, he's quite a well-known actor, and people do tend to like him quite a lot. So if he's shown to be featured in a way which is very personal, then people may be more inclined to go and buy the magazine if they think it's going to be something about him in it as well as the movie. Also, when it says Leo takes over the asylum, people will be thinking, oh, I wonder what this asylum is. So obviously it's something which features in the film, but the word asylum kind of puts a twist on things, as some people might not know what it means or not quite sure what it is. Also, it says at the very bottom of the magazine, plus Iron Man 2, Transformers 3, Whip It, Prince of Persia, and Are You a Robot? Um, After the and, there's kind of an ellipsis used as a kind of break in the sentence. It's kind of used as like a to put an emphasis on what it's trying to say and give it a bit of like oomph for people to really want to know what it's about. And also the question, "Are you a robot?" It's a bit weird and like not something you'd normally ask. So people might be inclined to think like, "Oh, hold on, what's this going on about?" Um, Also, like at the side on the right, it's got a picture of Avatar. And then it's got in quotes, it's got everything. Then it's been spoken by somebody, and it's got their name below it. So if somebody's this comes across as it could be like a film review. So if somebody's saying it's got everything, then people might think, oh, this film is quite good. So then obviously the language they've used to put on the front of that magazine is being picked out specifically to get the reader kind of inclined into wanting to know what it's all about. But the general language used on the front of this magazine, some of it is typical for what you would see, kind of like short, snappy sentences, things what people would be interested in. But also, it hasn't got as many like 3 word kind of like rhyming things which you would normally see. It's quite simple. There isn't many cell lines on it, which maybe is used to try and keep it look very simple. But the Inception magazine cover seems to be something which you would more likely to see about a film rather than this one, which seems to be very different. Both of these magazines have quite a lot in common, that obviously they're both from the same magazine, Total Film, but also the fact that both of the magazines rely on the main actor of the film as like a selling point for the magazine. Obviously, it could be from the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio is well liked by many and known by many, so they might obviously want to play on that because of that. But also, they may want to play on it because of it maybe sells well. Like if he's on the front of a magazine cover, maybe that certain issue will sell more than others. So obviously, the magazine's playing to its strengths in that way. but also because the magazine itself, Total Films, kind of built up a brand identity. Because obviously, like regular film goers, and people who are really interested in, like, fanatical about films, then they maybe like will kind of take an interest into this specific type of magazine, Total Film. They've kind of, obviously they've got their own logo and things like that, but obviously because it's an issue released every week or month or whichever, also it's well known, and it's sold in a lot of newsagents. Obviously it's got its own website and things like that, so it's kind of building up its own identity for its audiences and its fans. Obviously this is, I could use this type of marketing for my magazine. I mean, I'm only producing one issue, if you would say. So maybe harder to do, but also like the fact that it's used the word Total Film and the similar type of techniques every issue. I could kind of take that into account and try and use that for my magazine. Obviously, it's something which is used and well liked by many because it's a very popular magazine.